Go ahead.
All right. Hello, Internet, and welcome to the inaugural. We're going to go with Spider Chat, the first webisode this time. We're willing to take suggestions for the name, viewer suggestions, of course. But working down the line, I'm going to introduce my guests. First up is Tylox the Mighty.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Of course, if you didn't know, I just posted a video. I had to pay pins to get him on this show, so check that out later. Second up is, oh my god, I'm going to miss this again. Joachim?
Joachim Comic Center. Hello, everyone.
And, okay, just to let people know how dedicated you are, what time is it where you're at?
Let's see, it's 3:37 p.m.
No.
AM.
Oh, man.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I'm up
I just
way past my bedtime, and nobody knows where my country is on the map. So
He is from Tennessee, everyone.
I just want people to know that we have a very dedicated person here, so we appreciate it. Next is Comic to Comic. How are you doing?
I'm here for some reason, so let's do this.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate you walking away from CBRT to be here for our inaugural episode.
I'm here under duress. That's all I'm saying. So let's just.
All right, and then Alia reads books. Hello.
Hello. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, so I'm just gonna.
You don't have an intro?
I don't.
Gotta have a
don't.
catchphrase. That's how you get the viewers. I guess.
Don't hate me. I don't know.
I gotta give that a shot.
It hasn't worked for me. I probably shouldn't be talking.
Oh.
So, unlike another sort of show that we have in the community, this here is to talk about the Spider family on the Marvel side of things and everything Spider related. So, I'm excited, and I'm so happy to have such a great panel here to kick this off. And so, I'm sure everybody's aware, Spider-Verse basically just ended, and I feel like we have to talk about that because that was the biggest Spider-Man related sort of thing that is in my memory. I don't know. How did you guys feel about Spider-Verse overall?
I loved it.
I did, too.
like Christmas and birthday wrapped in one.
Beautiful. Not that we're biased or anything.
Wow.
Minus the Spider-Woman stuff. I did not like the Spider-Woman stuff. At all.
The Spider-Woman, not the... Which Spider?
Just like Jessica Drew, like all of her little spin-off part of Spider-Verse, I hated.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll dig into that. But first, we got to be talking about Edge of the Spider-Verse.
Absolutely.
So, what was everyone's favorite issue of Edge of the Spider-Verse for those who participated?
Gwen. That's the one I read.
Gwen? Okay. Anybody have anything else? Because I know that's the...
I mean, I liked Gwen, but I also like, I flipped through Gwen, and I flipped through the Noir issue. I liked it a little bit, too.
Yeah.
The Noir, and that's what you're holding out? Yeah. The Noir issue is really cool.
Yeah, and it continued right from the other two miniseries that they had of Noir.
I have a question about Noir. What was that in? Because I remember that came out in that video game not too long ago. I'm just wondering if there was like a trade of that or anything. Yeah,
there was two miniseries. I'm gonna forget the name of the second one, but the first one was just Spider-Man Noir when Marvel's doing a whole Noir
Without
line.
a Face, I think was.
Yes, you are correct. And it was the same creators who did that issue that did the other two minis, so it was
that's cool.
Perfect.
Directly in line. I feel like I'm the only person on Earth, but Edge of the Spider-Verse #5 was my personal favorite. I don't know how you guys felt about this one.
I thought it was okay.
Nice.
If any of you are familiar, this is very much like Spider-Man mixed in with Evangelion, and it was just this perfect blend of two things I love, and Honestly, Spider-Gwen's cool, but if we could have a monthly series of this, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, and it was a good story overall.
Yeah. And it was the second Spider-Man mech that we got, because they also brought back the old Japanese Spider-Man from the Sentai Spider-Man show that they did way back in the way when.
I haven't watched.
I don't think too many people have, but I know of its existence, and it was definitely in there. But that was the cool thing about Spider-Verse, is they touched on
Everything.
every version of Spider-Man that's been. Like, even Italian Spider-Man, like in the background of a panel, which
Get out of here.
Yeah, no, it's just this dude on a motorcycle, but he's in the background in
Oh, that's awesome.
the edge of the... Yeah, not edge. Yeah, one of the two Spider-Verse exclusive books.
That's hilarious.
Did anyone else have anything else on Edge of the Spider-Verse before we kind of moved on to
This one was
Spider-Verse?
kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an awesome horror book. That was totally a callback to, was it Amazing Fantasy 13? I want to say, where they did the kind of man spider before Spider-Man.
Yeah,
sort
I
of
wouldn't remember.
I'll
It was
find out.
so long.
My skin was like crawling reading that. It was disgusting.
It would be a good horror
The
flick.
entire time. I can't look back at it. Imagine if Stacy looked at if someone sent that issue to Stacy. I would
She'd
feel so
love it.
bad for her.
Well, I think she'd dig it. She's into the whole horror thing. Yeah.
He hates spiders though.
Oh, well, what you gonna do? But yeah, that was one of the creepiest issues of comics I've read outside of Afterlife with Archie. Not to go too off the beaten path.
Whatever happened to Sabrina, that's all I'm saying.
Forgotten in the wind, man.
That was a good first issue. Alright.
Yeah, so I don't even know how to dig into Spider-Verse really, because it's so immense, right? It's so huge. So
Yeah,
how about
we'll do that.
well, so I guess the best part would be to start off with the villains necessarily, the Morloons. How did you guys kind of interpret that whole deal?
Well, it was cool to finally see Morlun again after reading the JMS run.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan Slott takes a lot of stuff out of that. And yeah, I don't know if they cooperated on anything else. I don't even know what JMS is writing right now when he's done with Superman. But yeah, it's awesome. He touched on the things that Morlun was just this huge being, could barely be destroyed, and then Peter Parker did this whole thing with his body, taking the radioactivity one more time, a second dose that was too much for Morlun, so he went back, got killed. But then, of course, they come up with this thing that they can clone themselves. So that's how he's coming back.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and so you have this whole universe of them too going on.
Yeah, and just build on a whole family of Morlun instead.
Right. That was one part that I guess I wasn't as hot on, was it felt like they just kind of became the vampires of Spider-Man, as opposed to kind of being more the in tune with the totem sort of deal with this run.
I kind of got that too a little bit.
Yeah. But initially we're starting off with kind of, I want to say, wrapping up the first chunk of since Amazing Spider-Man Restarted, a la Post Superior. And,
This one started it all.
oh well, okay. Fair enough. Was that technically Edge of, or?
Yes. It's the first one that begins with the oversized spectacular of the Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah. Trying to draw lines in the sand here somewhere, because it's so
It's amazing. Because of his time travel, it started everything, at least for the Superior.
Yeah. The other weird part when we're starting is we're dealing with the whole Silk and Spider-Man kind of.
Oh yeah, okay. I read that far.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Did you think that made Silk kind of? To me, it made her a little hacky, to be honest. Why couldn't we develop the character a little bit more, get to know her a little bit more, other than this sex pot that wants a piece of Peter, because of the pheromones? I wanted to learn more about the character a little bit more.
Well, I mean, I could relate to that, but
Okay,
it was
I see what
kind
you mean. I was like, what? What I said, not her. I gotcha. Just say, wow.
Well,
On all cylinders already.
Yeah, I don't know, that part didn't do so much for me. I was definitely glad to see it rev up, but I mean, basically by the end of it, we're going through the portals and we're well on our way to our summer adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Rolls in pretty quickly with the Superior Spider-Man and all the different various Spider-Verses. Because, yeah, we meet up with, like, Punk Spider-Man and, like, Wacky Leg Spider-Man pretty quick, and... Yeah. So, okay. There's a ton of Spider people already. What was everyone's favorite Spider character of the bunch? Because you're pretty much there by the second issue.
I was still stuck on Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen? Okay.
I liked Lady Spider, but I was still stuck on Spider-Gwen.
Well,
I mean,
those two.
I'll say Peter Parker, but that's a given. You wouldn't be reading unless you like Peter Parker in some way. But my favorite was also Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When I was younger, one of my favorites was the sixth-armed Spider-Man. When I was younger, at least. And I know it was kind of funny when Octavius, I don't remember what he called it, but called him something else but six-armed Spider-Man, just pointing out that he doesn't know what word is to have several limbs.
I don't know what that is either.
I don't know. That's kind of shocking coming from Doc Ock.
Yeah, but he has the IQ of who knows, so...
Yeah. I'll have to ask my Carney relatives what that is.
Could probably look that up.
That's why I'm here, people. You gotta laugh a little.
I was about to say there's half our viewers.
Super serious, okay? We can't just
Well,
joke it about.
what did you think of the overall premise of it? Did you think this was a good idea to do this? Now, what is the first issue of Spider-Verse and Amazing? It's what, 13, 14, 15 in?
No, because they just did issue 16.
Yeah, issue 9 is the first Spider-Verse proper, not Edge of the Spider-Verse.
So do you think this was a good idea? I mean, obviously Spider-Man in some way, shape, or form has been around this point, but having Peter back for that amount of time, do you think this was good going into an event that early on in the run?
Does anyone else have something to say before I launch into my...
I think that it could have been a humongous train wreck when you put that many characters and that big of a storyline, and you Peter just got back, so you're just pushing him right in the middle of it, and you're just expecting everything to gel together. It could have been really, really bad, but I just like how it ended up being. It kind of flowed. It had a flow to it that
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting any minute for this to fall apart, and it really never happened.
Yeah. Well, my take is that, issue 9, I was kind of like, I don't know, it seems a little soon, and I don't necessarily want to be jumping into event, because I'm pretty adverse to events at this point.
Yeah.
But by the time we were at issue 10 with all the other tie-ins, I was like, I'm on board, this is the best thing ever, and I was just loving it, and it kind of reminded me, like, Dan Slott knows how to write Spider-Man. It's not like he's revving up his engines, he's just getting back on track, because he's been doing Spider-Man since forever, it seems like at this point. Because he's been writing it way past his initial, solo date, because he was part of the group that was doing it prior, when they were doing 3 issues a month. And so he has the character dialed, and so it didn't take him long to get back in the swing of things. My major issue, actually, was that I was hoping that because Superior Spider-Man was going to be part of it, that we'd get a little more closure by the end of it, and
Okay.
we'll get there, but in my mind we did. So that was the big hanging chad for me.
So how long do you think it would be safe to have issue-wise before another event happens?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
Let's give it a
like,
year.
It's either jokes or the hard-hitting questions. So either or.
I mean, I'd want at least a year, yeah, because this was the biggest Spider event basically
Since-
ever.
Since Spider Island.
Oh, way bigger than Spider Island. Like, this
Yeah.
was... Because, I mean, this took every facet of Spider-Man through pop culture
Yep.
and mashed it together and pulled off the trick pony, because you can't just mash something like together like that and hope it works out for the best. Like, there was definitely a line pulling it all together, and they kept it there. So I don't know.
But do you think they need to build Amazing out a little bit more? Because as I was reading it, I felt that was kind of my thing going in was I want this to get built a little bit, because people, they need to realize that a lot of new readers are coming into Spider-Man, and they might not have the setup and the history that a lot of other readers have.
That is the biggest downfall, I would say, for this. You can't run into Spider-Verse and not be a Spider fan. Like, this was a coup de grace for people who've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
there's-
a while back, Stacey Poulet said that she jumped in on Spider-Verse. Like, that's when she wanted to pick up Peter Parker and pick up Spider-Man and see how it is. And she just picked the complete wrong moment, the complete wrong issue to jump in. I think it was like 2 issues or 1 issue into Spider-Verse. And I was like, yeah, that's not, you'd have to be on it a while before that.
Yeah, because overall, it sounds like people that read the event were satisfied with it, which in this day and age is kind of a rare thing to be happy even with an event. So I was just wondering if you think a new reader who's brand new to Spider-Man could hop in on that, read it, and completely comprehend what's going on.
Probably not.
No.
I wouldn't say completely comprehend, but if you get the entire Spider-Verse thing, like, you'll get a complete story.
Mhm.
There's just going to be some winks and nods that you're not going to get. And honestly, like, there's a few that went over my head. Like, this was immense.
Yeah.
So a lot of the nods and winks are secondary or even tertiary to the main story, and you can get that just reading it, in other words.
Oh yeah, like, there's one frame where in the background there's, like I was saying earlier, Italian Spider-Man who's just kind of this butch dude on a motorcycle somewhere.
Everyone should get that. Everyone should get that. I'm going to tweet it out tonight. Everyone should know that character. Right now, in fact. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, okay. Oof. There's the big one. I mean, we kind of went over favorite characters, but I mean, as far as little, like, wink and a nod or, like, out there characters, was there any that stood out to you guys a little more? More the fun side of things?
Punk rock Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was about to say
Spider-Man.
the same thing.
And Lady Spider, liked her.
Oh, yeah.
A steampunk kind of Spider-Man.
The steampunk, yeah.
And that was what I was liking about her teaming up with 2099, just because of the contrast and everything with the technology that both brought to the table.
Totally. Tylox, did you say one? I kind of missed you in the mix.
Oh yeah, I was completely agreeing with him. Punk Rock Spider-Man was one that, like, you know, it was like supposed to be a secondary character, but I really liked it. I liked his banner when he said something. It didn't feel like it was like forced or anything like that. It actually, like, you know, it kind of flowed. But it's a character that I knew nothing about. Like, I mean,
What I found interesting is that they brought in, because I'm reading Spider-Gwen right now, and it seems like Spider-Ham is kind of a different character than the character I read as a kid, and they actually kind of made him an interesting, I wouldn't say, almost comic relief. You have to a degree, have that character be comic relief, but vastly different than the character I read as a kid, and I thought that was really kind of cool. And now that he's kind of like an advisor to Spider-Gwen, I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah, it's all great. I'm trying to find the exact page, but my favorite, hands down, was the single page of the Hostess Fruit Pie Spider-Man getting eaten up.
That's great.
If I could own one page in comics, that would be it. I love that. Uh-oh. Stylox.
He's going to be in and out, don't worry. I was on a hangout with him last week.
Okay. As long as you get back in. There we go. But another big one I liked is they touched on at least 3 eras of the cartoons throughout the different things. Definitely throughout.
Yeah.
Did anybody else pick up all the team-ups?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, let's dig into these a little bit, because I feel like this was the meat of like the.
It fleshed out the series a lot.
Especially that last one.
This was the joy part. This wasn't about the plot at all. This was about, hey, we got Spider-Verse going on. Let's see who the hell we can throw.
Was there a superior foes type feel to it at all?
No, this wasn't superior foes at all. This was better.
No.
That's a great book. No, I love Superior Foes. I'm learning to love it. But no, it starts off with like 4 different versions of the Vulture coming down on the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, which is pretty amazing. And then I want to call him Gritty Spider-Man and Spider-Ham come in to save the day real quick.
So it served as supplemental, but if you read it, it really helped kind of flush out the kind of not main Spider-Men that were involved in the main event.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, it was a bunch of kind of vignettes. Each one's only, a handful of pages with a different spider character.
The Spider-Verse team up, the one that brought in Miles Morales, appeared with Ultimate Spider-Man from the TV show.
Yes.
That was one of them, yeah. You also get like the 6-armed Spider-Man and the Spider at one point, which was bound to happen, I guess. I don't know. There's a big one. How did you guys feel about Miles Morales' part in this? Because he's the one character I'm the least familiar with.
I don't know much about him, but I felt like he had a very small role.
Yeah.
Me too.
He didn't get much to say at all. Maybe he didn't bring much to the table. He just teamed up with the Ultimate Spider-Man from the animated series. I think it's the latest one that's out right now. And I love the way that they kind of take that Drake Bell kind of style. I hear his voice as soon as the Ultimate Spider-Man talked or said something, and they had this little kind of Disney influence with him popping up as a little chibi character, just talking to the fourth wall, just like in the TV show. So yeah, I think the Ultimate Spider-Man from the animated series got even more room than Miles.
Yeah.
Strangely.
Oh yeah.
But Miles has his own comic, so it evens out.
The weird part is Miles is the only Spider character who had his own book running while this was going that didn't tie in to it at all.
To me, it seemed like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know a lot about Miles. It seemed like he was overwhelmed by the whole thing. Like he had never encountered anything this huge, and he was kind of just alongside and trying not to kill it.
He has as a character, but his big thing is kind of his appeal. In fact, if you're reading him now, is that Peter's kind of grown and kind of weathered and very experienced, and he does have that naivete to the world, and that kind of makes him a throwback to Spider-Man of my youth and Matt's youth. And so yes and no, but I think probably more or less anything, he was not involved a lot because editorial has plans for him. And from what you guys are telling me, editorial kind of was hands off with everything else with this. It's like as much as they can be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted to kind of let this fly because none of it is continuity, so they don't have to really worry about it. The other big thing about issue 2 of Team Up was Spider-Gwen has another Peter Parker who's a hobgoblin die in her arms again, so you're kind of getting that reverse of her seeing Spider-Man or Peter Parker rather, die in her arms again, which is any other time we've had a Gwen clone or anything like that, you know, she's dying in Peter's arms. So it's kind of cool to see that come around again. Because death is fun, guys.
Yeah, I laughed, so yeah, I guess.
Do you think that was kind of done as just to do the role reversal, or do you think there was characterization from it?
My take is that it was kind of characterization, but at the same time, at this point we'd only had one issue of Spider-Gwen that was pretty much about the whole role reversal of him becoming the Lizard essentially, and then or having essentially kind of the reverse Green Goblin sort of deal.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a big deal because it was building her up in a way that, at least in my eyes, kind of legitimized her with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, because introducing her and realizing that I'm not sure. Do you think they had plans for her immediately, or do you think the issue's sales led to them saying, we're going to launch? I think they probably had ideas to launch her, but that Spider-Verse should have built her a bit to launch her book.
She had her moments,
Mm-hmm.
no question.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's one. As of issue 3, what did you guys feel of the old Spider-Girl in this run? Because that was my soft spot.
Yeah, it was cool. I had read some books about Mayday in the Marvel Age format, I believe.
Oh, you're talking about the M2 Spider...
Oh.
Too many Spider-Girls. Too many Spider-Girls! So, I'm sorry, go ahead about
There
the
were a
M2
few,
Spider-Girl.
so-
Mayday.
Sorry.
No, go on to Mayday.
What can I say? I mean, I've read it's an alternate future she comes from when Peter Parker loses one leg trying to destroy the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, still. And yeah, he can't be Spider-Man anymore, so he starts a family. That's all he needs. He just needs to lose a limb to start a family. And it's with Mary Jane, and they get their first daughter, Mayday, which then later founds. This is still a universe where Ben Reilly is a clone. So she takes on Ben Reilly's suit and goes out as Spider-Girl. And then also later, I don't remember in continuity if her younger brother gets birthed or not, or if it's just in the series of Spider-Verse.
I don't remember, because I've read the comic that's based off of that. I haven't read the Spider-Verse stuff. I don't remember her brother getting powers too, but that could be wrong. That was a while ago. But yeah, that's actually not a bad spin-off series. If you want to read Spider-Girl? I think it is. Yeah.
Spider-Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
If anyone's looking for someone to talk about it, Comic Uno, that's her favorite character, hands down, and she's done a lot of...
Yeah. Because she did it. I watched her video about it, because then she talked about how all her theories about Mayday not actually being like the Mayday from that universe, and it being a different Mayday, because she didn't think she was acting the way that she normally would. I don't know Mayday or Spider-Girl at all, but...
I think that's a really cool theory. My only thing about that is that Spider-Girl Mayday had basically been written by one person for years on end. I think this is basically the first time she was written by someone else. So I feel like that's most of the toss-up. I don't know.
Oh, I just remember one death that I want to ask people about. I don't know if you've seen all of the animated Spider-Man series, but I have. And I noticed that he put Karm to destroy the whole Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends team. That was kind of a harsh spot for me, because I like those characters.
Yeah, that cartoon, classic. Don't knock it. It's great.
No.
It probably is aged like milk, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
It was great for its day, but I felt like something this, post 2000 whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it was probably good that they got taken care of quickly than got dragging along for the ride for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I was thinking about, was it something personal, or I just can't use these characters?
But it sounds like every conceivable version of Spider-Man was in this. Like nothing. Was Tobey Maguire in it on any level? Like, did they go that far into it?
Yeah,
There's
they
a frame that alluded to
Yeah, I
it.
think so.
in one of the team-ups, I think they mentioned. I think I just saw Tobey Maguire over there, or and that guy from Social Network.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then
Lex Luthor.
So did anyone have any thoughts about the Spider-Girl who was Anya prior?
I don't know anything about her.
I didn't know much about her.
So this was a super soft spot for me because while this was going on was when Batgirl was relaunching with the whole social media kind of tie-in. And years ago, Anya, she was Anya kind of tied to Spider-Man, but not really. But then she relaunched as Spider-Girl, and there was an actual Twitter account, and she tweeted in the book, and it was this whole thing. It was totally in line with what that with that Batgirl book became, but like years earlier. And so seeing her in this, I was like, they remembered, and they brought her out, and it was really cool. And by the end of it all, she kind of stayed behind to kind of be a new Madam Web sort of character.
Oh.
Because she has a kind of attunement with the spider totem thing that they played with weird ways. So, I don't know, that did something for me, but it sounds like that's not a side that most people are familiar with.
That's one weird thing, though. They didn't drag Madam Web into this series. Or
That
this story.
was... Yeah, but they had that web spinner, the old lady who was the web spinner that they ate.
Yeah.
Throughout. And that felt like that should have been Madam Web, but I feel like Madam Web maybe died a few years back.
Yeah,
she did. But, I mean, this new Madam Web, Julia, I believe her name was?
Yeah.
Why wasn't she in it? You didn't write it, I know, but... Still,
Well,
I mean, she's connected to the Great Web in some way. I mean, she can see the future and all that, but I guess you can't see it as good now when all the strings are cutting loose and everything through the whole event.
So for someone that didn't read the event in the totality that you guys did, what was the overall events that happened within the event? Time travel, universe hopping. I was lost.
Okay, let's see here. So in issue 17, in issue 17 of Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099 jumps back in time to, I think, save his grandfather in time continuity, so that he can be born and everything, and thus making a rip in the time stream, I guess, because now 2099 doesn't have its own Spider-Man, and in self-sacrifice, at the moment, Superior Spider-Man goes into a vortex created by Peter Parker, then developed by Otto Octavius, but since it's not 100% Otto Octavius, he doesn't know the consequences of what he's doing, so he goes into a time warp and goes back to 2099 to even out the scales, since that year Lost Spider-Man needs a new one. And I noticed in the background we get a lot of things from the future kind of Marvel universe, like we get to see Old Man Logan in the background.
Oh, wow.
Days of Future Past, I guess, because it has with time travel to do.
The X-Men?
Yeah, the Days of Future Past X-Men. Yeah.
Okay,
And Future Hulk. I don't know what he's called in the future, but he doesn't call himself a Hulk.
Maestro?
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of has that cool beard going. Kind of looks like that guy from those commercials. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, he meets up with Miguel's brother, Gabriel, and kind of takes him to Miguel's place. He thinks he knows this Spider-Man just because of him teaming up sometime in the 90s with Peter Parker, but he doesn't know it's Doc Ock, so he just keeps on going. And yeah, this is all in Superior issue number 32. This future stuff takes place, but it's kind of strange what they did with this, because the series was done in issue 31, but issues 32 and 33 is Spider-Verse.
So would you say, if you were wanting to read this, is the trade going to have those Superior issues in it, or do you want to go back and find those Superior issues?
It will have those issues.
Okay.
It needs to have those issues.
Yeah, well, some Superior Spider comics kind of like slipped in after Amazing Spider-Man started running, and it was that was kind of the build-up, and it was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah. So off of Team Up, I kind of just tied this in my mind with Team Up, and this had the page I was talking about was just the Spider-Verse tie-in proper, which was only 2 issues. Yeah. We get the Gambit from like the manga Spider-Man with yeah.
Nice.
Did anyone read the Mangaverse, the Marvel Mangaverse back in the day at all, or
No.
I didn't dare touch that.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Well, there's a whole play with the Venom, and Venom being the big burly guy, and whatever. The Lady Spider we were talking about is in there. Some Kitty Spider stuff.
Yeah, Lady Spider's whole face off with the Superior 6, or no, but you know, the whole steampunk kind of.
Yeah, she was the steampunk Spider-Man character, which I think was invented for this. I don't remember her showing up anywhere prior.
No.
Never heard of her.
Yeah.
But if you could imagine Doc Ock with steampunk's arms and everything, that's just cool.
Yep.
Fueled by plutonium, I believe it was.
Yes, it was.
That was a pretty big deal, actually, later on.
Yeah, because
in the 2099
right.
issues.
And then did anyone pick up on the video game one that it was completely the Capcom Fighters Spider-Man?
Oh, that's awesome.
There's a page. Yeah, it's all web ball, spider sting, and gets knocked out.
Just like a page?
It's just one page, and it's like it's a fighting video game sort of thing. It was totally there. It was done pitch perfect for what it was.
Marvel versus Capcom.
Gonna take you for a ride.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then I have to bring it up because Scott Grady, I think, is maybe our only viewer, and this was his favorite, was the Punk Spider-Man, I believe, or right after the Brit Spider-Man.
Oh, that's awesome.
And thank God they made him not white.
Punk has no color.
Yeah, and it was totally awesome, and he's like playing music to like fight off authority. It was just done perfect.
This one was kind of funny. From the newspaper Spider-Man.
Yeah, the newspaper, because Stan Lee's still freaking doing those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 2 panels per week or something, so, and they go in a really, really slow pace so that new readers that picks up the newspaper that they could follow. And I don't know, Moreland just kind of thinks, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep repeating yourself?
Cool. And so, the next big one that I feel like we have to talk about, and I know who I'm pointing this to, is how did you guys feel about the Spider-Man 2099 tie-in of this part?
That's all I heard. And I read $20.99 back in the day, and I liked it. So to hear that it's not delivering on the level.
Well,
It was cool. I liked the artwork throughout, but you couldn't get through these issues if you didn't pick up the main event.
Yeah.
well, that's for sure.
And unless you read the kind of intro every time, I guess. Introduced by this glowing lady on his wristband.
Right, the little...
I don't remember her name, but I think it's his lost sister or girlfriend. Probably girlfriend.
pretty lady. It's Lila.
Lila, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. That's Layla.
Close enough.
I'm old.
For me, this was one of the weakest tie-ins because it just threw... Because this, to me, felt like it was throwing Miguel back to his time, kind of before it was time to. It was just kind of an undue return. He was so rushed with dealing with the event. And you could tell, like, the character wanted to go do a million things, and I felt like he should have. Like, he should have succumbed to temptation and run off and dealt with a lot of the stuff he wanted to do. Because he was back in his time, and why he didn't just stay there was kind of beyond me.
Doesn't he have his own book right now?
Yeah, it's still running.
At least for...
If you can call it that.
Are you reading 2099?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anyone that is.
This
I
guy...
do.
It seems like a futuristic Spider-Man. I love it, but there's just something about it that just can't grab me. Like I just can't get it.
Well,
I think it suffers from a similar problem that the sci-fi comics suffer from, that there isn't that point of relatability in it. And so it's hard for people to get into those futuristic comics. They were big in the 90s.
Yeah, and that's why people don't pick up Batman Beyond, I believe.
Yep.
But if you play the Spider-Man Edge of Time or Shattered Dimension, I promise you at least like to try a 2099 issue.
Yeah.
it's true. Does anyone have any
Think it's
final
funny
thoughts on the
that's-
2099 tie-in, or... No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've
Still,
kind of already
if you're-
said mine.
If you're reading 2099, did this interfere or have anything to do with the main comic book?
It totally dropped a bomb in the middle of it when you could tell David wasn't expecting it coming. And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it definitely threw a wrench in the works. I feel like it might have maligned it, because the status quo was basically set up and running for about 2 issues, and then this happened right before, wheels were getting under it, so this might have... I'd argue this would have killed the book, but with everything Marvel's doing, I feel like it was on the wall anyways.
So it did what events shouldn't do.
For this book, yeah. No question.
Okay.
So, how about the Scarlet Spider? How did people feel about this one?
Oh, I loved Scarlet Spider.
Okay,
Great artwork.
I will.
I loved it.
That's as comic fans, I think we all know that's a little underhanded comment.
Okay.
Okay, Allie, tell me what you loved about this, because I want to hear you.
I just liked the storyline, and it was 3 characters that I was unfamiliar with, and the way that they
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We have the remix.
Okay, Allie, we're getting some static, so I'm gonna wait and come back. Who else picked up Scarlet?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel about it?
It was cool. I mean, I was familiar with almost every character. I mean, Ben Reilly read something about him in Web of Spider-Man in like the final run. And not as much of Kane, but I guess I knew that he has inhabited the other. And of course, Black Widow. former Spider-Woman from the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And clone of Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that led to some fun stuff.
No, that was the best story arc in Ultimate Spider-Man till this day. The Clone Saga is very well made in the Ultimate Universe.
No, yeah.
Well, it's definitely leagues above the other one, so...
Yeah, the other ones didn't make it much to a fight.
No, the other Clone Saga is one of the worst comics I've ever read.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, no. It was bad.
I do want to point this out, though, in defense of Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is some of the most reviled story arcs in all of, fandom. But part of the reason people revile them is because there's so much to love about Spider-Man in the first... Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, Allie... Oh, sorry.
We'll take Superman, for instance. Name a Superman story arc that you don't like.
All of them.
No, like, honestly, that you're like...
We're about to say the same thing.
But Spider-Man has that special kind of appeal that when he does sell his soul to the devil, it affects you to the point where you don't read him for years. Just saying.
I had to jump on quicker, but... Okay, Allie, it sounds like you're back. So what were you saying about Scarlet Spiders?
Oh, I just really liked it. I liked the interaction between the three characters a lot. And for me, it was just seeing how they all interacted and then how they acted around Kane. I loved it. The artwork was not my favorite towards the end. I got kind of sick of it, but...
It kind of fell apart a little at the end, honestly. But the best part about this tie-in versus some of the other tie-ins is that there was a complete theme. Yes. About all this, and it dealt with cloning and the whole idea of clones in the Spider-Verse, and then also the villains that they're dealing with is how they're getting so many villains in the first place is there's this cloning facility, and they have to go deal with that. So this is kind of its own little microcosm in a weird way. It wraps up in 3 issues. And that's part of the reason I like this as a spin-off was that whereas everything else kind of started to blend together, this was like, oh, we're actually dealing with a little thing. They have their own little theme going on, and they're dealing with the whole clone thing and, like, who am I, like, some identity issues. And I just felt like it was so pitch perfect, and it covered a lot of ground for 3 issues. I feel like you have to give it credit. And then, did anyone read the Scarlet Spider book when it was running a couple years back?
I did.
Nope. Missed out on that one.
You're the only one. Wow. All right.
I'm here for a reason.
Did you pick this up at all?
I didn't because I wasn't sure how much it was related to that and how much because I did read Scarlet back in the 90s too, so I wasn't sure if I probably should have from what it sounds like.
Yeah, there's some good stuff, but what kind of got me is that Kane seemed kind of soft in this little mini compared to where he was, but I think it's maybe because they just didn't have the time to deal with that much gruff. I don't know.
Well, that was kind of the idea behind that comic was it's Spider-Man with Tood, if you will, and so.
What's more 90s than that?
Seriously.
All right, and our last time before we get to the ending part of Spider-Verse, at least, is what you guys think of the Spider-Woman? Aha! Okay, Allie, dig in, burn it to the ground.
It was for starting off. The number 1 in the middle of Spider-Verse. That was so. I didn't understand why.
That is a Marvel problem that dates back years. They've done that with so many books. Stupid. It started with Maximum Carnage, as a matter of fact. And it's a... Yeah, it's a sin. No question.
So there's that. And then Greg Land on the artwork. That is just a whole thing all on its own.
That's why I didn't touch it.
I just cannot even...
Because I like that character. It's just... That art is horrendous.
I didn't mind.
No.
It's not as good. It's not. It gets better later, but I don't hate Greg Land as much as most people. I guess I don't know.
Like by the end, I was looking at like her or like every female, and I was just like, it looks like the same female except different hair color.
Well, he's tracing
Everything
the same porn stars.
Yes,
so.
exactly. And it was just,
I suggest you go read Wonder Woman if you like that kind of thing.
yeah. But then, and then on top of that, there's like, she didn't do anything. I didn't feel like her story did her justice at all. She was supposed to go in and do all of this, recon or figure out all this information, and she didn't do anything. She just went to Master Weaver and got a scroll and sent it back and ran away from everyone, and I just didn't feel like she did anything.
So you feel like what she did do, any character could have done. There was nothing unique to her doing it.
There was no, I didn't understand why it had to be her, and it could have been anybody who
Well,
gone
she
in.
was a spy in Avengers, wasn't she?
That out in the book. They said that in Morloon's universe, Jessica Drew was actually a handmaid or something like that, a housemaid or whatever for Morloon's family. So if it would have been any other Spider Woman or any other Spider,
there is that part.
they would have picked her out or picked them out instantly, and they would have been attacked. But Jessica, she could kind of like just walk around like, oh well, she's just doing her job. They did get that in the main.
But she didn't even like interact with them. She just kept running away instead of actually like pretending to be the Jessica Drew that she was. Instead, she was just like.
What I mean by it could be any other character is there was nothing unique to that experience of that character. It was a flat performance, if you will, where if you just swapped out a different character, you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Okay,
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Well, so the other thing she did, and oh my god, forgive me for what I'm about to say, because it is horribly sexist. There's no two ways around it.
That's something that happens in any of your videos.
Yeah, I was about to say, why stop a good thing?
Oh my god. No, there's a... Oh, that's a different... for another time. Okay, so...
I feel like I just took Travis's place for a second.
Travis's? All right.
Someone had to be there. So, she wrangled in the other two girls because she's the experienced woman.
She did do that.
And... that was the other thing she did throughout this miniseries. She wrangled in the girls in a motherly way. She was the sex pot for the villain and seduced him and spied her way in and then delivered a scroll. Yeah.
See, if people don't realize her character, that's not what she's about.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah,
she's got a vast history, and see, they should have. And if they're going to launch a new book, I know this sounds kind of contradictory to what I was saying earlier about launching a new book, but this character has an established history. You have that build. You should build off of that, and not just give her this flat performance. It sounds like you could have launched this book months from now, and it wouldn't have made any difference.
It's a little rough because outside of Peter Parker, obviously, she has the most established character of any other character in this whole thing. Even Miles Morales. And so, yeah, that was a bit... This was probably the frayed edge of the Spider-Verse in a lot of ways, now that I'm looking at it a little differently, so... Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree, because if you take Jessica Drew and you look back at her history, I mean, she's known for being Spider-Woman and part of the Spider Universe, right? But she's also known for being a big part of the Avengers.
Exactly.
I mean, she's a huge part of it. Like there's a lot of Avengers storylines that happened when she was a member of the Avengers that she played a really vital role in all those. So,
and she's super independent. Her attitude, her personality is super independent, and she can handle her own. Pardon my language. Shit, she's.
And see, prior to this, I hadn't read any of her, and I just felt like I didn't hate her. I just hated what they were doing for her. I didn't feel like they were doing her justice, and that was kind of why, as much as I didn't want to get issue 5, I went and got issue 5 because I wanted to see her outside of Spider-Verse, because it just wasn't fair for her.
And we'll get to that.
Check me if I'm wrong, because I mean I've only read so much Avengers too, but I don't think there's ever been an Avengers book that she's played a part in where somebody's said, well, who do you think you are? and she's like had to defend herself. They're pretty much just like, it's Jessica. She knows what she's doing.
Oh, well, that had to happen at one point. It's the Avengers.
I mean, it had to happen at some point, but I haven't come across it yet. So I mean, that just to me means it's few and far between.
Not on that level, obviously, but I think if you're writing the Avengers in the 80s and 90s, you're gonna have that she dropped the ball, he dropped the ball type conversation, but never like you're a girl, type. Though that would crack me up because I dropped the ball immediately. But
well, and also compared to all these other Spider characters that aren't, I mean, she's the furthest from Peter Parker. Like. She's Spider Woman, but her relation to Spider-Man is basically name only. Yeah. Like she's got next to no connections. So
no. I'm trying to think of any Spider-Man books that she was in, other than like a few issue cameo type situation. I don't think she's ever been. Well, like a big story arc. You get what I mean?
She was a big part of. Oh my God. She was with Black Widow, I think. Or am I mixing this up? It's been a long night. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a Dan Slott issue run where she was in for a little bit, but
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge deal. I mean, it could have been anyone else. They just used her because she was appropriate for once.
Now I'm starting to see that this character is just getting maligned left and right by the company.
Well. Yeah. Okay, outside of Spider-Woman, how do you guys feel this event wrapped up? Did you feel this earned its ending?
Yeah. I mean, it ended technically at part 6, I guess, but the epilogue was so much more important for this story.
Well, I feel like issue 6 was important for this. The epilogue is its own deal. In a way, because that's what I wanted was the Superior Spider-Man end, and that's what the epilogue was.
Yes.
I thought the epilogue was going to be a really, really bad idea. I mean, it could have went either way, but I was kind of worried about it. But after reading it and after getting it and seeing how it tied everything in and everything, it actually worked out really, really well.
Yeah, because, I mean, the story ends, and, I mean, they defeat the bad guys, and they kind of send people on their way. And, I mean, it was a satisfying ending, because, I mean, there was kind of a clever twist at the end to make, to deal with all the spider, vampire, Morloon people. And, but then we get the tie, and the biggest thing about this epilogue for me is this justifies the end of Superior Spider-Man better than the last issue of Superior Spider-Man. This kind of sets up Doc Ock's willingness to let go of the body. And for that, this issue was worth its weight in gold to me. Yeah. I don't know if it justified it as much for everyone else, or...
Yeah, it did. But they set it up like that Otto wouldn't remember the Spider-Verse. So, yeah. in the beginning of the story, I was thinking that, okay, if he'll remember this whole story arc, I'm going to reread from issue 19 and see this from a whole different perspective. If he would remember the event, that is. But
one thing I have with events is, do you see consequences going further from the event? Do you think that exists in this?
That's the best part of this event. No.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Like, this was done. I mean, you might get some lingering stuff, like in some ways Spider-Ham and Spider-Gwen, I guess. But,
yeah.
Like, by and large, no. This was a moment of time. This was an event. It started here, and it ended here, and we move on. That was the best part of this to me.
Yeah.
So you don't think that there should be any kind of scars or anything from it? That not necessarily they're stuck in this, but maybe yeah.
Well, so in the Amazing Spider-Man, the last few issues, Peter's been like, I'm still feeling tired from that horror
no.
deal. Kind of like he has the ulcer or the broken ribs and Maximum Carnage, and he has a few issues to deal with. But I mean, by and large, not so much.
Okay.
They killed off over 100 Spider-Mans. How many more scars do you need?
That is one thing I did want to bring up. In here, because there's the Spider Brit, who's part of the Captain Britain universe, or an alternate Captain Britain universe. That part I wasn't 100% on. They basically face the heat death of their universe.
Oh wow!
Just bring that up.
An entire galaxy destroyed, and
I mean that's a huge scar right there. Is that I mean there's like imagine finding out that everything that you've ever known and everyone you've ever cared about is gone, and you didn't even know it was gone until way after it happened.
Yeah. But it's some schmuck we've never really read before, so there's not a lot of emotional connection, I guess. So.
I mean, yeah, because I'll be honest, I've never, I haven't got that far yet. I haven't got into him whatsoever. So, I mean, to me, it was no emotional connection whatsoever. But I mean, it just seemed like somebody had to lose everything, and they picked that one character because that was an easy character to pick. Everything for him to lose everything.
Well, and that is the one tie that's actually going to tie in when Marvel does their Secret Wars thing, whatever, is that a few characters stayed behind, along with the Anya character I was talking about, and they're part of this whole spider web, across the Spider-Verse, literally. And they're behind, and they're watching, and they're waiting, and there's a tease for it to play in a few months when this whole... when Marvel does whatever the hell they're doing, I can't really keep up.
Is Spider-Verse a tie into that?
Yeah. It's going to. How? Why?
I think it features in Battle World or something. I think it's listed.
Yeah, they're little short. I know that much. They're little short revisits to that it's also tied into the Battle World. I think that's making a 27-piece screwdriver. I think that's overcomplicating things, but have at it, Marvel. Maybe you'll get something genius out of it.
I don't know what you're talking about, overcomplicating by rehashing every major event Marvel's ever done all in a 4-month period. That's just good marketing.
Well, I thought you were serious for about 2 seconds there. But for me, are they tying those events into the overall event too? That's the kind of feeling I got.
I don't work at Marvel, man. It's not out
yet. I was about to say, nobody
if you did,
the whole thing of the new event that's coming up is nobody knows anything. The only thing people know now is what's getting canceled. Nobody even knows what's coming back. I mean, you can kind of guess, but nobody knows anything. Like it's like Marvel's keeping everything hush hush. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, I was about to say if you did work at Marvel, you could.
Yeah. Okay, so did anyone else have anything else on the epilogue or any of that?
I had a question that I should have asked 1 hour ago, I guess, but did anyone else read J. Michael Straczynski's run of Spider-Man?
Oh, it's one of my favorite Spider-Man runs of all time.
Yeah,
except for the bad parts.
We need to do a whole hangout just about that one, I think.
Oh, that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, they drew a lot of stuff from there, and there were 2 Spider-Man teams in the beginning, the Essential. The Superior Spider-Man, he brought on his own team, and there was Future Spider-Man, alternate Future, with the new suit and everything, the red leather jacket and everything, and he was an unknown, it says. They didn't know if he was Peter Parker or not. And got revealed in, I believe, the end of issue 3 or part 3. And it was so nice because if you know the bunker where they found Cindy and everything, that place was offered for Peter Parker at a certain point when Morlun first appeared, but he said no, he was going to defend the city because that's what all the responsibility came up to, and. Yeah, in this alternate future, basically Peter Parker gets destroyed by Morlun instead, and therefore Ezekiel needs to take on the mantle of Spider-Man, and that was very satisfying, seeing him as alternate future Spider-Man.
It was almost satisfying, except I didn't get enough Ezekiel. He's one of my favorite characters we never get enough of.
He's the greatest mentor that Peter Parker had.
In a way, he never had, though, really. Like, except for, like, 10 minutes. Like...
We could have...
This is like a whole nother...
Another time, Matt.
Yeah, another time, man. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
When it's not 3 a.m. for you, or 4 a.m. Okay.
Me.
So, Alier T-Dog, got any more on the ending?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way everything got tied up and got, tied together, and I mean, I just liked it overall as an event. Like, I like the art in the books, I like the story. Like I said, to me, it seemed like it could have been a train wreck at any moment, and it just didn't happen. Like, it actually pulled through, which was kind of like, I mean, to me, being a new Spider-Man reader and going back and reading older issues and then just collecting, just pulling this new series that's come out, it's just nice to see how everything pulls together and holds up.
So you're new to Spider-Man. You have a lot of great stuff to read. You have a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean,
stuff.
Like,
and some terrible.
I'm new to the comic Spider-Man. I mean, I know the main canon points and stuff like that. But as I'm going back, like I buy lots of back issues just as much as I buy new stuff. I mean, new stuff only comes out once a month, but then you buy back issues and stuff like that, and you read little bits and pieces here and there, and try to do your best to catch up with what you can. But
yeah, no, that you've got a lot of good back stories of Spider-Man to read. He's got some of the best.
I ran across one here recently. I mean, I don't want to get too big off topic, but it is an Straczynski story. The Back in Black issues that they had, like 530.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it literally showed me that, like, Peter Parker, he chooses to be the way he is. Like, he proved to Kingpin at that point that he could literally do anything he wanted to do at any point in time. He holds back not for his sake, just as much everybody else's.
Right. Well, and that's a weird point in Spider-Man, because that's when they were playing up the little media event, because that was real-world news for a while, that Spider-Man unmasked and the whole deal, and anyone in the know knew, like, all right, we got, like, months on the clock, how long is this going to last? But that was the period when that was happening, and seeing how they played that out was actually really strong. And this is the part you've read of that is the stronger of the, I want to say 4 books that were doing it at the time. So,
yeah.
Okay.
This was fun.
Well, we got a whole nother leg to go because we just covered the Spider-Verse. I want to catch up with this month. So the next time we do this, we can just cover about a month's worth of books. And
Well,
be on par with that.
I'm going to hop back on Amazing because you told me to. So I will definitely at least have that read. But anything else besides that and Spider-Gwen, I don't know. Are you reading Spider-Gwen?
Yo, we're getting there, buddy.
Yeah?
Okay. So,
everyone trashed it, and I loved that second issue. All right.
But, okay, so Spider-Verse ends, and we've dealt with so much of the tying in of where Spider-Man's been building for months now, and then this issue comes out. How'd this do for everyone?
Haven't read it.
No,
not yet.
What are you holding up?
It's ASM 16. It's the issue right after the Spider-Verse epilogue.
Okay, the peril at Peter Parker Industries.
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a good way to go back into things. You can't just like full bore back into things, and Peter has been gone, so like he's trying to catch up. Like he's been gone for a little while, so he's got to do some catching up, and nothing's slowing down for him. Parker Industries has been running this whole time without him.
Right.
So he's just kind of lost in the fray. He's like, all right, I got to catch back up. I mean, it's the same old Parker look. It's the same old Parker life.
Oh, yeah. And the biggest thing about this is we've been dealing with this huge superhero kind of thing, this huge superhero event. This is back to the soap drama. This is back to what Spider-Man's really about. And so I was kind of like, I don't know how this is gonna, feel after months of like the most hype comic I've ever read. And then I was like, okay, we're back in the saddle. All right. And then just to polish off ASM for now, I guess most of you didn't get it yet, but 16.1. Did anybody get the return of Gary Conway to Amazing Spider-Man?
What?
Not yet. I'll be getting it Saturday, and I can't wait.
Okay. Well, I don't want to go too far into it then, because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But I mean, by the cover,
go ahead and
you can
spoil it,
tell.
because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like it.
Well, so this is like a gang war deal. Like, this is where I love Spider-Man to be. Like, he's dealing with a bit of his own stuff, but the enemies he's dealing with are, some like big Avenger level deal. Like, it's a bunch of gangs in the middle of a gang war, and it's pitch perfect. But it's a little weird because I've basically been beholden to Dan Slott writing my Spider-Man for years on end, and getting anyone else doing the dialogue is just, it's a little weird. But the book I feel like we have to dig into now. Who's been reading Spider-Gwen?
No.
Why?
All right.
I have, but I don't have issue here.
Oh, that's
I don't
cool.
know.
That's cool. All right. Oh no, Allie, no. Okay, someone not me because I'm running out of breath.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, this is basically Marvel's version of the character spoiler. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that. Wah, wah, wah. But so I already had an affinity for a character like that from the get-go, and I think that helped me get into it. I think where a lot of people are having problems with it is they aren't understanding that this is an alternate universe, that this is an alternate set of characters, and they wanted her to kind of come in and be Spider-Man but a girl, and they're kind of building her in her own way, and I like that. I think we have a few more issues to go before I can make a big judgment on the book overall, but I'm enjoying it. I liked her interaction with Peter Porker. I know a lot of people didn't. For me, I thought that was kind of cool, and I didn't even read Spider-Verse for the most part, and I enjoyed it.
It's pitch perfect because it takes what could have been just a Peter Parker like comic of introspection and made it dialogue.
Yep.
Like, it's such a brilliant device, and I don't feel like it's getting enough credit.
Yeah. I loved it, not only because of my love for the character when I was a kid, but also I felt that exactly what you're saying. It made her kind of her own in her own way because Peter Parker, one of his big attributes is that inner dialogue he has. I think no one does it better than Peter Parker in comic books, and that's saying a lot. And to have her be to distance her even further by doing that was a genius move.
Well, there's one character that does better than Peter Parker, and that's Wade Wilson. But
I do not agree. But all right.
Did you read? Let's see here. Would you think it would have been as easy to read the first Spider-Gwen issue if you hadn't read the Edge of Spider-Verse issue first?
You can start at number 1.
Because a lot of people said that they had problems with that.
Oh yeah.
You can start there, but I feel like this is really Spider-Gwen issue 2.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah, me too.
But oh my god, so all the whatever aside, but the art in this comic is, I wish more superhero comics were on this level. Like, this has a texture and a feel, and it loves what it's doing, and it's a little bit punk rock, which totally matches the tone, and it's just...
If you've been reading, they were the same team on FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics, at the beginning.
Oh, I need to read that.
You really do. It's a different art team now, obviously, because they're working on this. But starting out, it was this team, and it's perfect transfer over into the mainstream Big Two. I was like, wow. I noticed right away it was those guys.
Yeah, no, this is. Oof. Allie, do you got anything extra? If you can. Oh, can she hear me? Okay. Ah, damn it. Okay.
It happens to
Alright.
the best of us.
Yeah, so the next chunk is the reincarnation of Spider-Woman. Was anyone else on this?
No.
Or, no?
I'm still on it, but I haven't read the latest issue, and
This
I
one?
was, yeah, exactly, and I didn't know if I was wanting to pick that up because of a new suit. I wasn't completely for it. I like the old suit,
I feel the same way.
but this is the first volume that I ever read of Spider-Woman, so I had no judgment at all of the character in the beginning of Series Festival. I didn't talk much about it, and I plan to get the new Avengers because I guess she has a loud voice in that one, in that series. I mean, I guess you know her.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, so this issue 4, in between the Spider-Verse and the new status quo, was kind of just like, I'm quitting the Avengers and I'm off on my own. I don't know. This issue didn't do a lot for me. But once we get the new artist in and Hopeless is able to pull his reins and like do what he wants to do, like this is, for all intents and purposes, this is Spider-Woman issue 1 of the new run. Like everything else was just Spider-Verse tie-in. This is sorry, backwards. This is huge, and I didn't want to like this comic. I bought this because of the new costume. Like, I came this far, I guess I'll try it out. But I really didn't want to buy it because I don't want to be buying another $3.99 Marvel book. But god damn it, this was amazing, and now I'm on it. Like, this is part of my pull. It's so just... This is street level stuff. This is a cool case coming up, and Ben Urch is part of it. That's not really a spoiler, but kind of. But anytime you put Ben Urch in a Marvel story, I'm pretty much there. So,
yeah. I don't know. I think after that, after I paged through the Spider-Verse stuff, I stayed away from that book. I guess I should have.
Well, I mean, so there's 3 Spider books going currently. There's Gwen, Woman, and Silk. And I flipped through Silk and I just said, no.
That art is horrendous.
I couldn't take that, and so I wasn't going to enjoy whatever I read anyways, so.
I haven't seen it yet, but I liked her character and what they were going to do with her. With her working at a TV station and everything. I think they set that up in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 6 or something.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but as I told you, I haven't got my Silk issue number 1 yet, even.
Ugh. So it's the same over there as it is over here.
Yeah, but worse. For a different reason, my comic shop sent it to another subscriber.
I just really can't afford it. I mean, like, if you already pull Amazing Spider-Man, that's like, 2 at the least, maybe 3, 4 books a month.
$8.
If you add Spider-Woman and Spider-Gwen and Silk into that, that's another, what, like 3 more books? I mean,
yeah, no. Yeah.
But I mean, I will say this. It seems like, a lot of people who've been reading comics for a long time, like through the 80s and, maybe even the 70s and stuff like that, hate the newer stuff that's coming out. They hate Spider-Woman changed her costume. They hate the whole Spider-Gwen thing. They hate the whole... they're more partial to the Silk thing than anything else. But basically, that's just a perception of what they like in costumes and art.
Well, okay, I have to ask you guys about this, because the new Spider-Woman costume I'm all about, because I think the old Spider-Woman costume is possibly the most horrendous superhero costume after some of the Kitty Pryde rejects. Like...
See, I think the same thing about the new costume.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think a 5-year-old drew that costume.
Yeah, but I like one thing about the new costume, just because it kind of reminds me of that future Spider-Man jacket that he has, that he turns, kind of flips around.
Yeah, the like flip around thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so goggles I'm never big on, but I'll let that slide. But I like how they incorporate the yellow, like, spider look, but it's more, and the belt, and I don't know. It grew on me really fast, but partially because I just hate the old costume. Like, I don't get why people like that at all. It just seems
It's
hideous.
It's more of a nostalgia thing, I think, than anything. Because I mean, it's a terrible design.
Yeah.
But the era it's in, when it came out, it fits perfectly. Like if you think about it. But now, it hasn't aged well at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, most characters get a revision.
All I saw the new costume, basically, all I saw was a triangle with some legs coming off of it. I mean, I didn't know anything about a jacket or goggles or anything else.
That's Juggernaut. The way I used to draw when I was a kid. Anyway.
All right. So just for our 4 viewers, thank you. That might just be us.
Yeah, I have one up for comments.
Oh.
Allie had to take off because her computer just didn't want to play nice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right. So there's a couple other little corners that I want to go over, but I feel like it's going to go pretty quick. Has anyone been reading Spider-Man the X-Men?
No.
I was told to avoid that like the plague.
The only thing that I haven't touched on, just because of...
Were you told by Travis?
Yeah. Of course!
Yeah, don't listen to that guy. Doing that other show, nobody wants to watch.
I think he has 20 viewers right now.
I knew we shouldn't have done it this time, but nobody listened to me. So, okay, this is total just like my 8-year-old self coming out, but you put Spider-Man and the X-Men on a title, I'm there. That's every Marvel book I want to read. It's just you put Spider-Man and the X-Men in it, great. But it's not really the X-Men, it's a bunch of no-name X-Men kids, and Spider-Man's their teacher. And it's not the best book, but I appreciate it for nothing else because it moves. The first 2 issues are kind of their own arc, and then issue 3 and issue 4 are their own little thing. I don't know if you could appreciate it in their own right, but this book is just chugging along, and I don't think it's going to survive the transfer with all the Marvel stuff coming up, so it's probably only run like 8 issues, but it's a fun little moment in time.
I hear Sauron shows up, so I thought about going and checking that out.
Sauron and oh my god, and the Chameleons part of it.
Okay.
And
like classic characters.
Oh yeah, it's classic Spider-Man and X-Men villains. They're getting mixed up and they're teaming up. And that's the thing, is usually there's like a Spider-Man and X-Men villain like teaming up to do something. So it's pretty crazy. And then the last issue is Spider-Man and Beast having a science off. And then stuff getting mixed up in there. It's just... the book moves.
So it's more or less not taking itself too seriously, and that's what the charm of the book is.
Oh yeah, it's totally non-serious at all, and it's just a fun damn book off on the side that's doing its own deal.
So let me ask you this: which Spider-Man is it that's in it?
Petey, isn't
Peter
it?
Parker.
It's Peter Parker that's in it?
Yeah.
I thought it was
because the whole thing behind it is like this is actually a follow-up to Wolverine in the X-Men. So he's taking the kids Wolverine was teaching because that was Wolverine's dying wish, is that Spider-Man comes in. And most of the X-Men just hate him. Like, Storm despises him.
Yeah.
She's the new headmaster. And, like, Beast is, like, kind of okay with them. And that's one part I don't like, is there's a lot more history between Spider-Man and the X-Men than apparently even people writing Marvel comics seem to know.
Yeah.
Like, Beast and Peter Parker have had a kind of long relationship. Like, when Peter Parker was looking at having a child, he was talking to the Beast because he's like, they're probably going to be a mutant, right? And running some tests, and they figured that all out. And you have to know someone pretty well to trust him with that. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I kind of like that he's going back to be a teacher, because that's one of the big things in the game. That's wrong. I know. I'm sound like a broken record, but it's good. But this time around, it's mutants. So yeah.
Well, I feel like the JMS run was an usher-in of the new status quo of the past status quo now. And so that was like a new age for Spider-Man, because that was right around the time Ultimate was going, and then Amazing kind of took a dip in relevance, and things kind of moved on, and all the other Spider books were playing off of that run. So, Spider-Man was a teacher, not a photographer. And then we have that year where it was the Spider-Man TV show and comics that I love, and then the new status quo gets established with Big Time, and then we have Dan Slott's thing, and that's where we're at now. A decade in a minute.
Yeah. See, to me, everybody made it out like it was like Miles Morales who was in it, and I was like, how is he teaching them anything?
No, he's still in the he's in the Ultimate Universe still.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that kind of makes me want to pick it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miles actually just teamed up with the all-new X-Men in that current book, so...
Okay, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm liking it, but it's weird because it's getting event fever, too, because it just had this Guardians of the Galaxy tie-in, and
now they're doing it again?
Yeah. So, I mean...
That's why I had to stop reading those books, because it was just like, I can't... It's spinning out too far into the Marvel. Whatever.
And DC is just as guilty before anyone...
No, DC is a shining star because they have Batman. Nothing's ever wrong with Batman.
I wanted to read Green Lantern, and it's impossible. It is. Try it. Just try it. Just go through at the beginning of the New 52 and just read one of the Green Lantern books. Don't read all of them. Just try reading one and keeping up. Good luck.
All right. Well, since we're basically just talking amongst ourselves, preview. I finally got my Swamp Thing in, so I'm going to be reading through that.
Did you get it? Did you get the Snyder run too, or just?
Yeah, I got all the trades that are released up to this point, and then I figure by the time I'm done with that, the last one should be released, and then I'll. Yeah. Tie together some thoughts.
That'll be kind of interesting to hear you kind of talk about the differences between the two, because I thought Snyder's run was okay, and then this run came out, and I was like, okay, never mind, this is a good run.
It's going to be 3 videos. What I think Swamp Thing is before I ever read any Swamp Thing, my take on the Snyder run, and then the Soul runs.
I think you'll like the Soul run. I want to watch you demolish the Snyder run, because keep in mind, he's writing this as he's writing Batman. And he has Swamp Thing go to Gotham, and it's plant Gotham, and I know you're not gonna like it. It's not really though, because you'll.
Okay. Well, okay. So the last thing for the Spider Chat is: did anyone read the annual or the special that came out in the past couple months?
No.
Okay. So here's the short version of this.
I was about to say I read the special.
You did?
Yeah, I read the special.
Okay. So before I dig it, what did you think of this? You there? Sorry.
I don't think I think he's lagging.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that cover. Is that a variant cover? Because I never saw that.
It is a variant edition.
Oh, okay. But I chose not to pick that up because it's just that one special, and then there's something else.
Yeah, this ties into 2 other books that is to help set up the new Inhumans special, and they're trying to make it relevant by tying the Amazing Spider-Man. Oh. This is terrible. Don't.
Okay, good. Because they did the same thing with Superior Spider-Man at one point, with Doc Ock appearing again at the same time as Superior Spider-Man was around.
Oh.
That was one special issue.
The other one I want to bring up is the annual, because this was written by one of I forget the late night show hosts. I think
Seth Meyers.
Wasn't
the annual was fun.
Oh my God! Did they not?
Jay Leno.
Wait. There was a multi-part tie-in across books somewhere in the early aughts where Jay Leno teamed up with Spider-Man.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was that was a moment in time. That was...
The Avengers went on Dave Letterman back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and Spider-Man teamed up with the SNL cast to take out some stupid thief at one point.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And Spider-Man went to the original Star Trek movie when that came out. Oh.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Which makes it really weird when the X-Men teamed up with Star Trek, and you're like, wait.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm like, Spider-Man, wait a movie. Just wait. This one's not good. Wait till the next... I don't know.
Yeah, no. Spider-Man versus Khan. Ah.
Yes. That first movie stinks. Anyway.
Yeah.
How was the...
So this was written by Sean Ryan, and it was just... This was the hackiest, like, weirdest, like, Spider-Man's getting in the dumbest quips at the worst time book, and it was just miserable. Just, I need to learn to stop picking these up, but half the time they're good and half the time they're not, except now I'm 0 for 2 this past few months, so...
One thing you can take from that annual is at least that he cares about the littlest thing, what he can do for people.
Yeah.
And you know, in this time and age, I mean, would you even go a day without your cell phone? Seriously, Matt.
I have, because I forget to charge it.
Yeah. But you feel miserable, don't you? No.
There's no reception out here, so it's pointless.
Out in the boonies?
Yeah, so, I mean, if I'm going into town, yeah, I'll take it with me, but out here, it's pointless. Anyway, yeah, it sounds like it was, because to me it looked like, overall that event looked like oversaturation, but to me it sounds like it was well worth it overall.
I mean, it's great if you're there. Like, if you're with it, it's really cool, but it is one of those things, like, if you're a Spider-Man fan, it's awesome. If you're just coming into it blind, or like, if you're trying to jump on Spider-Man there, it's not the time. It's not for you. Wait a few months when Marvel implodes and they restart would be my advice there, but...
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, what? Tylox, are you back? It doesn't look like it. So, we went over months of everything Spider-Man related for inaugural kickoff.
Yeah.
Best 3 to 4 months ever.
Yeah, there you go.
In a while.
Cool. So if anyone has any closing thoughts, go for it, and I'm going to call her done. 90 minutes, not terrible.
No, that's perfect. People will watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So.
That's the dream.
That's the idea behind these videos.
In theory. So, Tylex, are you there? Okay. Well, alright. Well, then I'm going to call it. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Tylex, even though your computers died on us halfway through. I appreciate the effort. Oh, damn. Okay.
Okay, real quick. The Spider-Man annual, $3.99 for Spider-Man returning somebody's cell phone. Not something I wanted to pay that much for. To me,
and with that,
the introduction of new characters and like big key moments in stories and stuff like that, and now we're returning people's cell phones. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Well, yeah, that is kind of weird because back in the day, annuals were actually big storyline events for characters, and now much more. It's just a way to kind of have a side story and maybe highlight an up-and-coming artist. My 2 cents on that, but
and/or introduce new status quos, all of the Inhumans, but
yeah. I think we're done here, people.
Yeah, woo!
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate it all. Good night, fair world, and we'll see you hopefully next month if we can wrangle up some people and do some spider chat.
Absolutely.
Take it easy, everybody.
Woo.